Level check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, we got it here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You might hear a little rattling if you're starting to watch already on Facebook. I'm putting the mic on as we speak, and so that usually causes a little static or something like that. And we are talking about some pretty nice weather for the weekend. And again, I've got my winter forecast for you. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, we'll get to you here in a couple minutes. I'm Steve Horstmeyer, Chief Meteorologist here at Fox 19 now, and we are talking some weather coming up here at 7:15. So in under 3 minutes, I'll be with you. I don't know why these lights don't seem to be working, but they don't seem to be working. Okay, now they're working. Okay, now I'm glad that I was running a little bit fast there. Okay, under 2 minutes and I'll be with you, everybody. This is Meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer, and I've got my winter forecast to show you. We also have the new updates to the 3 to 4 week outlook and from the Climate Prediction Center. So we've got a lot to talk about here coming up in just a couple minutes. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, under a minute, I'll be right with you. And I'm checking to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we've got it on Facebook. I'm looking at my phone, so that's working. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 11 people watching, or at least 12, 13, 15 people watching right now, so I will be with you in a couple seconds here. And again, we've got a lot to talk about. Now, I've got to push a couple other buttons here. And 7:15. Hi, everybody. This is Meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer coming to you from the Fox 19 Streaming Center. And we are looking at a pretty nice weekend. Before we start that, though, I want to go over the winter forecast. And I presented this last night at 10:30 on our newscast. And I want to kind of explain to you how we go about doing a winter forecast. The whole season's a lot. And what it really means and things like that. So we're going to start off with that tonight. So let's go ahead. Okay, so first of all, the winter forecast for 24-25, it's nothing that is really simple to do. There's just a lot of stuff you have to look at. And we couldn't do this years ago. As a matter of fact, years ago, we were lucky if we had a good idea of what was going to happen with the weather 3 or 4 days out, because it was just that much harder, that much less data, and really no models to speak of when I started in the business. So let's start off. One of the first things that we use, of course, is long-term models. Now, we're talking about models about 2 weeks to 4 weeks, sometimes even a little bit longer. They call them seasonal models. And one of the issues with longer-term models is you can't do what you can do with the short-term models. In other words, we've got models that are updated actually there are a couple now that are updated every 15 minutes, but generally every hour, and so you can keep up with it. You can't do that with a model like this. These long-term models are global. There's a lot of data there, and it's more to give you trends and things like that, or hey, we'll have to watch out for this particular week because it looks like things are going to begin to develop. but we can't give you specifics. And so what the winter forecast is all about is, are we going to be warmer or colder than normal? Are we going to have more snow and rain or less snow and rain than normal? And maybe some times to look forward to for kind of bad weather. So the long-term models is the first thing we use. We also use something called teleconnections. For example, what you're looking at there is the Azores high and the Icelandic low. Those two work kind of together. They can both be strong, they can both be weak, and when they are one way or the other, they affect the jet stream. And that jet stream is not just affected where the high and the low are or to the downwind of that, it's also affected over the United States. So if we talk about North Atlantic oscillation, there are times when it tells you that the weather is going to be such and such, cold in the eastern United States or warmer in the eastern United States. And what you get from that, is the fact that it's going to stay that way for a little while. These things don't change really quickly. It's not like a thunderstorm that pops up and goes away. These things take sometimes weeks to develop. So if you can pin down what configuration those teleconnections are in, you've got a pretty good idea of how the atmosphere is going to behave for at least a short period of time. So models, we look at teleconnections. As a matter of fact, El Nino and La Nina are a teleconnection also, how the weather or the water temperatures are way, way away along the equator in the Pacific can actually affect the weather here. And then we've got historical analogs, okay? So you look back and you say, okay, when was the last time that we had a pretty strong El Nino that was trending towards a La Nina, and what does the summer look like? That was one of the major ways when I put the summer forecast out. I said it's going to be hot, it's going to be dry, and it certainly was. A little bit drier than I even thought. So historical analogs, you look back at other situations that were very much like that, okay, and you take a look at other factors and you say, okay, so this is kind of what we're being set up for, and you have to modify it with all the other teleconnections and what the models say and all that other stuff. Okay, so here is my winter forecast. So for the month of December, we're going to stay warm, pretty much warmer than normal through the middle of this month, and we're going to start a cooling trend as we head to the end of this month. But temperatures will cool to consistently around normal by mid-December. We will see that past the middle of this month, we're going to see temperatures more near normal. Okay, right on through December, probably little or no snow. Now, that of course can change. We're looking at below normal rainfall in the tri-state and no Arctic outbreaks. Maybe a little bit colder late in the month, but right now it's not looking like any Arctic outbreaks that will keep us cold for a week to 10 days at a time. January, temperatures slightly cooler than normal, a cold outbreak or two possible, a more active precipitation pattern, which could mean a little bit more snow, and Arctic outbreaks are possible, okay, especially late in the month. And then February, the last month of meteorological winter, temperatures will return to normal or a little bit warmer. We do have the greatest chance of an Arctic outbreak early in the month. Looks like a snowy, rainy month at this point, but the snow total is probably less than normal because temperatures will be fairly warm. So to kind of summarize that, the entire meteorological winter will have temperatures that average out a little bit warmer than normal. Snow and rain will end up being less than normal, but not a fraction of it, but a little bit less than normal, but still adequate. And it doesn't look like any extended extreme cold episodes. So it doesn't look like any 7 to 12 day stretch when we have really, really cold weather coming our way. Now, of course, all this is subject to change. This, we're looking at long-term trends, and there are certain things we just cannot see how they're going to develop. But typically, when you have the weather that we've been having and you follow it from an El Nino with a La Nina trying to develop, this is what you get. Now, I want to give you one caution here, or one thing that I'm really kind of worried about, is that back, so we're in November now, so back in the spring, everybody, the climate prediction people were saying, all the models are saying, it's going to be a strong La Nina, excuse me. Okay, and a strong La Nina has a certain weather pattern. Here in the Ohio Valley, temperatures near or slightly below normal in a very active rainy pattern. Okay, so that would mean temperatures about normal and more wet than anything else with that chance of some snow. Well, as we got later and later in the spring, then into the summer, it started looking like, oh boy, it's not starting to develop. What's happening? And so as we entered the fall, the comment was, oh, it doesn't look like it's going to be a strong, long La Nina. It is going to be a La Nina pattern that is short, weak, and starts late. Okay. Now, remember the El Nino pattern that we had last winter was one where the water temperature along the equator in the Pacific is warmer than normal, and that adjusts the entire global atmosphere in certain ways. The La Nina, as opposed to the El Nino, the La Nina, which they expected to develop for this winter, is the opposite. It's colder water along the equator in the Pacific, and that also helps adjust the atmosphere in a different way. So the El Nino pattern that we have gave us the kind of winter we have last winter. The La Nina is slightly cooler and more active rainfall-wise. Okay, and again, if you have a little cold air in there, that rainfall could end up being snow. So here's what I'm worried about. It looks like, and when you look at the Climate Prediction Center models that go out this far, forecasts that go out this far, they're saying, oh, the typical La Nina pattern is going to appear in February. Usually it begins to appear in December. Okay, and the issue with this is that if the La Nina pattern gets established well, it kind of dominates things. It's like the 500-pound gorilla. It dominates things. It stops really cold air outbreaks from coming our way and keeps the storm track where it is so that we get the rain or the snow. And this time, if we're having trouble getting that La Nina pattern to develop, when we get into the dead of winter, so let's say the last 2 weeks of January on into the first couple weeks of February, and that La Nina pattern is not well established, we're more than likely to have some cold air outbreaks, some big storms. And so all this looks good, and this I'm going to hold to this summary. However, I want to say that we have to keep a very close eye on what's happening with the La Nina pattern. If it continues to not develop, or it continues to be weak, or it doesn't develop at all, we may end up with a pretty active, cold occasionally pattern from the middle of January into the middle of February. So that's the only caveat. I still think the temperatures look a bit warmer than normal for the entire 3-month span. That's the average temperature. That doesn't mean we won't have some cold air. It just means there'll be more warm air than cold air. That's the average. The snow and rain should be less than normal because that La Nina pattern isn't really developing, and we have no extended extreme cold episodes in the forecast. However, if that La Nina pattern doesn't develop and begin to influence the weather, this bottom line may be a no-go. We may end up with some fairly snowy weather and some extreme cold episodes in the window of 3 to 4 weeks from mid-January into mid-February. So that's just what I'm thinking. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I'm saying we have to watch the La Nina pattern. If the La Nina pattern develops and becomes stronger, we should be okay without having to deal with this stuff. However, if the La Nina pattern doesn't develop, it opens the gates for some colder air to move in from Canada. Now, it does not mean that we're going to have a winter like 13, 14, or 1977, 78. Now, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about a blast of cold air that lasts for a while. Typically, that doesn't happen in a La Nina winter. Okay. Whew. There's a lot of words for just saying maybe. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the weather around here. Okay, this was a picture of the Big Mac Bridge. Give me a second. I can open the iris, I think, on the camera here. And let's see. It is, get the IP address. There we go. Give me a second. I'm working on it. I don't want to leave you in the dark. Okay, let's see here. Oh, it's starting to brighten up. Look at that. Okay, and I've got a limit. I can only open it so much, and then I have to go do something else. So let me go into the configuration of it, and let's see the image. Didn't want. What is going on here? Why won't? Okay, for some reason it's not responding. Here we go. Exposure settings. All right, let's try this. Let's jack up the gain. Okay, there we go. Jacking up the gain a little bit. And I guess I can open the iris is as wide open as it'll get. Okay, open. All right, it's a little grainy because I had to adjust a few things, but there you go. That is what the Big Mac Bridge is. And if you're not familiar with it here in Cincinnati, this is Interstate 471. Boy, that's really grainy. So we call it the Big Mac Bridge because it looks like the Golden Arches. It's actually the Daniel Carter Beard Bridge, who was one of the founders of the Boy Scouts. And so this is north, this is Cincinnati side, over here's Kentucky, and this is where the fire took place. So this is the approach ramp here, and right down here is a really nice park, or there was a really nice park down there, and they still haven't figured out how that fire got started. But that fire, the flames from that fire went 40 feet in the air, and they literally were hot enough that the huge I-beams are warped, and we've already seen, they've already contracted with somebody. They said that the people that work for that emergency contractor were going to be down here tonight, and we already saw their trucks on the bridge doing a survey so that they know what they have to do. Because, I mean, if those of you that work in any kind of, like, if you work in bridge building or you even work, no matter what you do, you've got to order the supplies. I can't imagine that the I-beams here are stock I-beams. Somebody's going to have to build the I-beams. They got to transport them. You got to do all the design work. Once you begin to jackhammer all that concrete up, you don't know what you're going to find. So it's pretty much a long process. I would be surprised. I would not be surprised if it takes 6 months to do that, because you've probably got a quarter mile of concrete that's going to have to be jackhammered up. And when they get into that concrete, they'll see what they really have because of all that fire. So that is where the big bridge problem was. Right down here is where the fire occurred. They don't know what happened, but that fire really did its. And the garbage cans is from our. Okay, just give me a second here. I'm back. Sorry about that. I was, my wife comes into town tomorrow, and we have somebody that comes over and helps feed our dogs while I'm at work in the evening, and she had an issue I had to straighten out. Okay, so that is the Big Mac, or the Daniel Carter Beard Bridge, and that is where the big issue took place during the day today. Right now, 52 degrees at the International Airport, so temperatures are on the way down. It'll be a chilly start to your weekend. All that green bloom you see there, that's all false echoes. What happens as the air stabilizes at night, what happens is it forms different layers of different temperatures. The radar beam literally bounces off those layers, bounces off the ground, bounces around a lot, back to the antenna, and the radar picks it up and sees that. So that is not precipitation, and there is no precipitation around the area. All right, so we zoom out, and you can see that there is a system that is coming our way. That system is right down here. This one coming out of, this is the Four Corners area. So coming out of the Four Corners, it's going to head north and eastward. It's going to drag some of this moisture with it. It's going to tap some of the energy from this one, and that brings us the chance for a few sprinkly showers as we head on into Sunday. I don't think it's going to bother the Bengals game. As a matter of fact, I think it gets here later. And even if it gets here during the game, it is just going to be sprinkly light showers, nothing big coming our way. So watch what happens here. We'll put this into motion. You can see there it is. There's the rain coming out of the southwest. By 12:40 p.m. on Sunday, it is still on the mainly west of the Mississippi River. It does by 6:50 p.m., this is the brand new model run. I haven't seen this one yet. It's not here yet, so there's no chance, if this model is right, that it'll impact the Bengals game. And then overnight, we have a few showers. And then Tuesday night into Wednesday, another chance for a little bit of rain around the tri-state. Low temperatures this morning looked like this. It made it down to, actually it made it to 40 at the International Airport, if I remember correctly. 39 in Harrison, the Butler County Regional Airport at 37, along with Madison, Indiana. 39 in Washington Courthouse, Richmond at 37. So it was a chilly start, and it's likely to be a degree or two colder overnight tonight than it was this morning. Airport temperatures look like this in the 50s and 40s. Harrison's down to 46. The Butler County Regional Airport, which is one of the cold spots around the tri-state, down in the Great Miami River Valley, down to 48. Hookfield not reporting, and already down to 43 in Washington Courthouse and Chillicothe. So if you're about to go out this evening, make sure you take a jacket or a sweater. You're probably going to need it. Now, you see, it's not a real big mass of very, very cold air. It's just some chilly air over the tri-state because you don't see anything really, really cold. For example, 44 in Minneapolis is not that cold for this time of year, that far north. So we're not looking at an Arctic air mass here. We're just looking at something that's going to keep it seasonally cool. The sun set at 6:38 today, so it's been down about 55 minutes. We're looking at 42 by 11 p.m. Overnight, that low should be 37 at 7 a.m. with the sun up at 8:06. And now here's what the Climate Prediction Center said. This is the new 6 to 10 day outlook, November 7th to 10th. We're looking at above normal temperatures in the eastern U.S. It stays that way through the 15th. And here's the new one that's put out weekly. It's put out today. And it keeps us warmer than normal all the way through the 29th of November. Now, as I mentioned in the winter forecast there, I would be surprised to see much in the way of winter-like weather all the way into maybe late December, maybe later than that. Even though the La Nina hasn't really formed, we still have other things affecting our weather. So right now, no hint of any kind of big wintry system coming our way until we get at least through the rest of November. And again, that could change. And we are, again, talking about warmer than normal weather as we head on into December. By late December, I think we're in a slightly different pattern, and we may be getting to see some more wintry-like stuff. Precipitation, the latest model through the 11th has us near normal. Look at that big bullseye over the Texas Panhandle of above normal precipitation. That bullseye weakens as it heads on into the Central Plains and the Mississippi River Valley, so there's what's left of it. Now notice it's heading this way. Let's see if it makes it into the Cincinnati area. So through the 3 to 4 week outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, it says, well, it doesn't quite make it here, but we're beginning to see what looks more and more like a La Nina weather pattern. In other words, this is the typical kind of La Nina weather pattern with an area of above normal precipitation, which usually encompasses our viewing area all the way back to the southwest a little bit. So that may be the development of the La Nina. Right now, it's not looking too hopeful, but definitely could begin to come our way. All righty, and there it is once again. All right, here's your 7-day forecast. Looking for a low tonight of 37, high tomorrow 63, partly cloudy. 48 and 70 for Bengals Sunday. Nice day for football. Let's hope it's a nice day for the Bengals to bring home a home winner. We take a look at the game day forecast. 50 for tailgating, 63 at kickoff, 67 at halftime. So the LA or the Las Vegas Raiders coming into town, chance for that sprinkle late in the game. But as I just showed you, the latest model data says probably not. Monday, slight chance of a shower, breezy and 76, 75 and nice on Tuesday for Election Day. Here's what it looks like. Now, I mentioned this yesterday, I think, that my wife and I have a tradition. We like to vote in person on Election Day. That's just our thing. I know some people like to go early. Some people like to mail it in. Our thing is just voting the way we always did when we were growing up. And so we get up, go out to the polls, vote, have some coffee, and then she goes to work in the morning. And you can see the temperatures, Election Day in the morning, okay, in the upper 50s and lower 60s with no rain in the area. So it looks like a very, very nice day for Election Day. The rain or the weather will not be an issue for your voting experience. As we take a look at Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, temperatures cool off into the upper 50s. Now, we're going to go to beyond the 7 day, but I've got a mistake on here. I forgot to move the icon for Veterans Day to the Monday. So that icon that you see right here that says Veterans Day should be over here. My apologies. I just had so many things going on, didn't think of it. So Sunday, the 10th, chance of showers. Right now it looks okay on Veterans Day, 63 the high. And then we have a slight chance of showers the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th. Notice high temperatures no longer anywhere near the 70s, but these are all a little bit warmer than normal, or at least at normal. And we'll look at that in just a minute. So low temperatures, not extreme. High temperatures, not extreme. This takes us to the middle of the month. So right now, through the middle of the month of November, there is just no hint of wintry weather coming our way. So let's go ahead and take a look at that 14-day forecast. And you'll see here, high temperatures, low temperatures, add on the normal lines, and you can see one day that 56 is the only one that is below normal. All the others are above normal on the high side. Low temperatures just touch normal for the 8th, 9th, and 10th, and then warm back up. And so from now through the middle of the month, we don't have much of a chance of getting any kind of wintry weather the way it looks at this point. Now, things could always change. And from my winter forecast, I'm thinking we're not going to see much in the way of winter weather maybe until late in the month of December. Okay, so that is just what could be coming up. All right, now let me go ahead and take a look at what we have going on Facebook. Actually, I guess I could do it on my phone since I've got that all set up. And you know, it's easier this way. I've got it set up so I can do it this way. All right, so let's see. Okay, not many comments today. I guess everybody's out enjoying the weather. So Nick Fisher says, so based on what I said, is this winter going to be a dry winter? I think precipitation will end up being less than normal, as will snowfall. However, that is based on the fairly weak La Nina forming. If the La Nina pattern doesn't form, all bets could be off, and we could have a pretty active and cold couple weeks between the middle of January and the middle of February, and that's where it stands right. So right now, yeah, I think Nick, we're talking about drier than normal, warmer than normal, with the caveat that's assuming that the La Nina pattern does develop. If the La Nina pattern doesn't develop, it kind of opens the door for some Arctic air outbreaks into the eastern U.S. Okay, that's all there is as far as comments go. All right. So what I think I'm going to do, let's see if I see anything on the... Okay, that's it. So you all, that is going to be the end of it for now. I've covered it all. Let me go over the forecast like I always do, and then that will be it for tonight. So go back over to the 7-day forecast. And as soon as it pops up, I'll put it up there full screen for you. It's loading right now. Here we go. All right, so 7-day forecast looks like this. We're looking at a low tonight of 37, high tomorrow of 63, partly cloudy. Chance of a shower Sunday afternoon, but as I mentioned, that was based on the previous model run. The latest model run continues to move the rain in later and make it less and less, so it really should just be a few sprinkles. And for the Bengals forecast, if you're heading down to Paycor Stadium, 50 at tailgating, 63 kickoff, 67 at halftime, around 70 during the second half of the game. Okay, then Monday looks nice, 59 and 76. Slight chance you'll get a shower. Probably won't happen, but slight chance. Tuesday night and Wednesday we could see some showers. Tuesday, though, again, is election day when you get to go out and vote for your fan or for your the person you want to become president and whatever else, whoever else is running for other stuff. But if you're going out election morning, looks like upper 50s to lower 60s and dry. Looks like great weather into the 70s for the afternoon and early evening. So it looks like a great day for voting. Weather will not be a factor and won't give you any difficulties getting to or from the polls. So Wednesday, an isolated shower possible, then partly cloudy for Thursday and Friday with low temperatures in the 40s, highs about 59 by Friday, but 59 is right about very close to normal. So it looks like winter is not developing yet. We don't have anything in sight for the next 2 weeks, maybe longer than that. If, in fact, everything works out the way it looks like it, we may not see much in the way of winter weather through the month of December. So that is it. Let me do one more quick check. Okay, that's it. I don't see any other comments in here. I don't see any at all now. So, okay, that's it. Thanks for joining me. Have yourself a nice night. And this is Friday, so I won't be back. But tomorrow, Catherine Bodak is in for Ashley Smith for the morning show. And in the mornings, the 11 a.m. weather stream that we do that's live will be with Catherine Bodak, but it will now start at 10:15. Okay, so we've had it going. We started at 11. We've gotten some feedback. We've looked at some numbers, and it looks like most people would rather see it a little bit earlier because 11's kind of like in the way of other stuff you get going. So from now on, it'll be almost immediately after our weekend morning show, and it'll be at 11:15, and you can see that wherever you see it, everywhere else. Okay, so that's it for now. Thanks for joining me. Have yourself a nice night and a nice weekend.